Discover how Noah's incredible 370 days in the ark fulfilled God's miraculous plan of redemption. In the days when the wickedness of humanity grieved the heart of God, Noah stood out as a man of righteousness and blamelessness. Living around 2500 BC in a land swollen with agriculture and trade, sin and corruption roamed the earth unchecked. Yet amidst the moral decay, Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. His unwavering commitment to God's covenant shone like a light piercing through the thick darkness surrounding him. Then came the divine command. God spoke to Noah, revealing an unimaginable plan. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood, for I will bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh. With each profound word, fear and resolve battled within Noah. The very air felt heavy, as the sweet scent of bamboo and the rich fragrance of juniper woods enveloped him. He began a task that seemed insurmountable, hammering each piece of wood, every nail destined to construct a vessel that would safeguard life itself. Months melted away as the ark took shape. The incessant jeers from his neighbors, steeped in their own wickedness, echoed around him. They mocked and scoffed while indulging in revelries that drowned out any thought of deliverance. Every strike of his hammer became a poignant reminder of his divine calling, as doubts crept like shadows into his mind. Yet, deep within his heart, a flicker of faith held him steady, a steadfast conviction in God's promise of redemption. Noah's family supported him, each member embodying the righteousness he exemplified. But even their unity was steeped in tension as they awaited the signal of judgment. As the time approached, a miraculous sight materialized outside their home. Pairs of every air-breathing creature came obediently to them: lions, owls, even timid fawns, all responding to the call of their Creator. This divine spectacle renewed hope in Noah's heart, confirming the truth of the promise that had been spoken. The day of reckoning arrived, with ominous clouds gathering like an army on the horizon. The first raindrops fell with an eerie precision, a somber rhythm against the unyielding ground. The waters surged forth as if answering the breath of heaven itself. For 370 days, Noah, his family, and the diverse creatures shared the sanctuary of the ark, floating amidst an ocean of chaos. They witnessed horrors unfold below, yet within their wooden refuge, they held onto the threads of God's promise. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, as the echoes of judgment reverberated through the tumultuous waters. Inside the ark, Noah prayed fervently for clarity amid the uncertainty. Were they the final remnants of humanity? What lay ahead once the rains ceased? Finally, as tranquility returned and the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, a new horizon emerged. As a rainbow arched across the sky, Noah experienced an overwhelming wave of realization about God's covenant. What would this promise mean for the future of humanity? How would their experience brand them as a covenant community? The answers eluded him, swirling in the winds of change, but his heart brimmed with curiosity, teetering on the brink of revelation. Standing on the threshold of this new beginning, Noah, filled with hope and wonder, awaited God's unfolding plan for redemption. A new dawn broke across the mountains of Ararat, piercing the horizon with hues of gold and crimson. The tranquility enveloped the refuge of the ark, and within its chestnut walls, Noah marveled at the promise bestowed upon him, a covenant like none before. As the creatures stirred and the sounds of life filled the air, a yearning for divine guidance consumed him, and the stillness. Noah ventured to the window and peered forth upon the vastness of a world washed anew. The oppressive weight of their former life lay beneath waves that had swallowed wickedness, purging the earth from sin. What sort of world awaited them? Would hope bloom amidst their sorrowful memories, or would shadows of despair cloud their steps? With resolve and trembling hands, Noah released a raven, beckoning it into the day. It soared high, circling above the parted waters, and did not return. Next, he sent forth a dove, seeking a sign of dry land. Days passed in absolute wait, and to each member of his family he spoke words of encouragement. Fear not. Our God is with us, for he has promised. On the seventh day, as the sun rose brilliantly over the receding waters, a movement broke the horizon line. The dove returned, its beak clasping an olive leaf, a token of life rendered from desolation. Noah's heart leapt, for he understood it was more than mere foliage. It was a sign of hope granted by the hand of God, a promise of restoration. Look, he exclaimed, gathering his family. The earth lives again. The ark became a sanctuary not only for its inhabitants but for new beginnings, echoing with the joy of salvation. Yet, the echoes of God's voice lingered in the silence, a reminder that his plan spanned generations. With solemnity, Noah assembled his family, proclaiming, "We have obeyed the Lord. Now it is time to walk in faith as covenant bearers." As the doors swung open, the first steps across the remnants of the flood felt as historical as they were personal. Animals rushed forth, eager to dance upon the earth, while Noah and his kin breathed in the aroma of fresh soil, believing its promise. They were no longer the last remnants of a doomed generation, but the progenitors of a new covenant, a life reborn in God's grace. Then, as Noah built an altar to the Lord and offered sacrifices, the very heavens opened. An overpowering scent of burnt offerings draped the air, while God's voice resounded like the thundering mountains. "I establish my covenant with you. Never again will I destroy the earth with a flood." With the arch of colors painting the sky, God set a bow in the clouds as a sign of this covenant. How vast and merciful was the heart of God, that he would grant a visual testament to his faithful promise. But what deeper truths lay hidden in this pledge? As Noah and his family began to cultivate the land, the shadows of the past faded, yet within Noah's heart lingered a question. What would become of humanity as it multiplied again upon the earth? What destinies awaited them in their covenant with the Almighty? The winds whispered ancient secrets, and the ground seemed to tremble with an unspoken future. Their journey was far from over, and shadows of challenges loomed on the horizon. The echoes of a world laid bare hummed in the depths of sin, and the promise of redemption awaited to unveil the tapestry of divine purpose. Thus, with reverence and expectancy, Noah looked upon the skies. "What is the plan, O Lord?" he pondered, for it was clear that within every heartbeat echoed a divine mystery, leading them towards a promise yet to unfold, a story where redemption would weave through the ages, beckoning every generation toward his sovereign will. As the days stretched into weeks and the weeks into months, the world beyond the ark transformed under the watchful gaze of Noah and his family. The air, infused with the fragrance of earth and rain, became a balm to their souls. Yet, even amidst this freshness, a quiet tension lingered within Noah's heart, a whisper of uncertainty mingling with the promise of the Lord. The family, bound together by their divine calling, began to nurture the land that lay before them. They planted seeds, tilting the rich soil with careful hands, as hope blossomed in their hearts. But as the sun approached its zenith, casting long shadows beneath the olive trees, Noah gathered his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth. "My children," he began, his voice thick with emotion, "the Lord has blessed us with the chance to begin anew, yet I sense the weight of our task. As we walk forward, we must teach our children the ways of the Lord. His justice and mercy must be written upon their hearts." Shem nodded, a resolve settling upon him. "We will honor our father, and in turn, our children will honor us." Ham shifted uneasily, as if the weight of the world rested upon his shoulders. Japheth remained thoughtful, his gaze drifting over the horizon. Then, as evening approached, a rustling came from beyond the trees. Noah's heart quickened as he recalled the promise given by God. Soon, the family would see the burgeoning life around them. Stepping onto the gentle slope leading to the river, he felt the pulse of creation, the vibrant sounds of life beckoning him to witness the earth's awakening. Suddenly, a figure appeared, a traveler wandering towards their dwelling, silhouetted against the dying light of day. The family instinctively drew closer, protectively encircling one another. As the man came nearer, the sun caught his features, revealing eyes that sparkled with wonder yet bore the weight of sorrow. "Who are you?" Noah called, his voice steady yet cautious. "What brings you to this land?" The traveler fell to his knees, hands raised in reverence. "I am a seeker of truth, a wanderer of paths unknown. I have heard whispers of your survival, of the God who preserved you. Might you share your story that I may understand his ways?" Noah sensed a divine purpose in the man's arrival, for understanding was the foundation upon which faith rested. With compassion swelling within him, he led the traveler to their hearth. "We are the remnant," Noah began, recounting the tale of the flood, the divine wrath that was poured out upon the earth, yet balanced with mercy. As the man listened, the glory of God illuminated his face, revealing both awe and dread. "Truly," the traveler spoke, "your God is great, a God of both justice and grace." Noah looked deeply into his eyes, understanding the faith-seeking heart before him. "The time will come when all flesh shall know his name. There is a promise still unfolding, a covenant that extends beyond us. It signifies not merely survival but redemption for generations to come." The man, filled with gratitude, rose to leave, but not before Noah placed a hand upon his shoulder. "Reflect upon this truth. The flood was a washing away, yes, but our call is to build lives, families, and faith. The earth, reborn, is in need of stewards." With the traveler now a distant silhouette against the night, Noah turned back to his family, the flickering flame casting shadows of determination upon their faces. They understood, as a new beginning took shape, that the journey ahead would not lack its trials. Yet amid God's covenant and the promise of redemption, a haunting question lingered in Noah's mind. How would their legacy echo through the ages? As the stars began to shimmer above, adorning the sky with divine artistry, Noah gazed upward and sighed. "Lord, may we remain faithful as the world unfolds before us, for your plan is grander than our sight can perceive." Little did he know, soon they would face the depths of human nature itself, as the remnants of the old world sought to rise again within this new earth. Mysteries awaited, laden with implications of both hope and regret, a testament of God's overarching sovereignty. As dawn broke upon the new world, the soft hues of morning light spilled across the land, illuminating the remnants of the ark and the faces of Noah's family. They gathered upon the gentle slope, eyes widening with the excitement of fresh beginnings and the weight of divine expectation. Noah lifted his gaze, feeling the tender warmth of the sun upon his skin. "Let us dedicate this day to the Lord," he proclaimed, his voice steady and filled with conviction. "For it is by his hand that we are alive to witness this rebirth. We shall build an altar, a place of worship, to express our gratitude for his mercy." Moved by their father's fervor, Shem, Ham, and Japheth set forth to gather stones and wood from the still wet ground. With each stone they placed, a sense of unity and purpose enveloped them. It was a physical manifestation of their commitment to serve the Almighty who had saved them from the waters. As the altar took shape, the birds began to lift their songs to the heavens, and the animals, now free from the confines of the ark, filled the land with their joyous presence. Noah marveled at the harmonious symphony that surrounded him, each note a reminder of the Lord's creation, a creation that held the breath of life. When the altar was complete, Noah offered a sacrifice, a burnt offering of gratitude before the Lord. The fragrant smoke ascended, curling toward the heavens, a sweet aroma that spoke of devotion and thankfulness. It was then that the Lord's voice pierced the stillness, strong yet gentle. "Behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your descendants after you." The words reverberated in Noah's heart. Trembling with reverence, he responded, "O Lord, let your covenant be known in this land. I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever again destroy every living creature as I have done." The promise flooded his spirit with peace, a reassurance of divine grace enveloping the chaos they once knew. "Your rainbow shall be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth," the Lord continued. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth, the bow shall be seen in the clouds. And I will remember my covenant that is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. The waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. As the Lord spoke, a radiant ark appeared above them, as if painted by the very fingers of God. Noah's heart swelled with hope and awe, the promise visibly binding him to the Creator. He shared the revelation with his family, their faces aglow with understanding, joy, and the seriousness of the calling bestowed upon them. Yet, amidst the exaltation, an unrelenting whisper echoed within Noah. What of the world that lay before them? How would they protect their new legacy from the shadows of the old world that still lingered in the hearts of men? Father, Hem spoke, his brow furrowed. We bear the weight of this promise. How do we ensure that we, as stewards of this land, do not fall into the trappings of our forebears? How do we guard against evil returning? Noah turned towards his sons, recognizing their concern. We shall teach our children the ways of the Lord. We must be diligent in faith and united in purpose, for the heart of man is fickle, and we, too, must guard our own hearts against temptation. As their resolve solidified, a shadow flickered at the edge of the grove, a figure obscured in the shadows. Noah's heart raced. Who lurked in the hidden corners of this new creation? Was it a harbinger of the darkness they sought to resist? Thus, an air of suspense hung heavy in the morning breeze as they prepared not only to embrace the dawn of a new era, but to combat the unseen forces that sought to disrupt their divine inheritance. The legacy of Noah, the remnant, and the unfolding covenant would soon be tested beyond measure. For even in the promise of a new beginning, an ancient struggle loomed, as God's sovereign plan revealed layers yet unfurling before them. As the sun rose higher, casting golden rays upon the newly washed earth, Noah gathered his family close by the freshly erected altar. The shadow that had flickered at the edge of the grove had vanished, yet the lingering unease in Noah's heart grew heavier. He could not shake the feeling that they stood at a precipice between the old world's depravity and the promise of this new beginning. "Come, my sons," Noah urged as he motioned for them to draw nearer. "Let us take this day to walk among the land, to observe the creatures and the growth that springs forth. The Lord has restored life, and in this we must remain vigilant." Shem, always the perceptive one, nodded thoughtfully. "Father, as we venture into this new world, what if the hearts of men are not changed? What if the weight of sin plagues us anew?" "We shall start with our hearts," Noah replied firmly. "For the renewal of the earth begins with the renewal of God's people. We stand before Him hand in hand, as the vessels of His promise. We must teach our children His ways, impressing upon them our covenant with the Lord, just as He has impressed His covenant upon us." With determination, the family set out, marveling at the beauty of creation that surrounded them. They wandered through lush fields, vibrant with wildflowers, and listened to the melodies of birds that soared through the sky. The earth breathed anew, and with it, their spirits soared. Yet, in the midst of their joy, the echoes of the past whispered across the landscape, tugging at their minds. Days turned to weeks, and as the family fulfilled their duty to cultivate the land, the apprehension in Noah's heart deepened. A gnawing thought troubled him. Could they indeed safeguard their lineage against the wickedness that brought forth judgment before? One evening, as they gathered to share their meal under the vast tapestry of stars, Noah posed a pressing question. What if the next generations do not heed the teachings I impress upon them? What if they turn away from the God who calls us to righteousness? Ham, seated beside his father, laid a hand on his shoulder. We can only trust that the seeds we plant in their hearts will grow. We must be relentless in our teaching and humble in our lives. Our fear of the past must not hinder our trust in God's promise. Indeed, Japheth interjected, for in our struggle lies a powerful testimony of His faithfulness. We must forge a legacy that transcends beyond ourselves, one filled with stories of His goodness. As the evening deepened, a gentle breeze stirred, carrying with it a sense of urgency. Noah looked to the horizon, where dark clouds began to gather. The shift of the atmosphere seemed to herald an unseen tumult. "Something stirs," he murmured, feeling the weight of divine foreboding. "We must not overlook the truth of our covenant. As we advance into this new age, God's plan is unfolding, but it may come with trials that will test our faith and our hearts." Just then, the piercing voice of the Lord echoed through the stillness of the night, filling the air with tremors of authority. "Noah, prepare your hearts, for I shall call forth a sign upon the earth, a sign that will reignite the trust of my people. It is a call toward the old paths, a reminder of my faithfulness amid trials to come." Noah felt the surge of fear and reverence intertwining as he received the weight of these words. A sense of divine urgency became apparent, urging him to rally his sons. As their eyes locked, the brothers shared unspoken fears and hopes, recognizing that their future was intricately woven into the very fabric of God's redemptive history. Thus, as the clouds darkened above them, they braced for what may come. For within the looming mystery of tomorrow, a profound revelation awaited one that would uncover the depths of God's sovereign plan and the enduring promise of redemption that transcended generations, stretching far beyond the horizon of their imaginations. The dawn of a new era was upon them, but it was a dawn that would come at a price. As the subdued light of dawn broke across the horizon, Noah rose early, his heart heavy yet stirred by the Lord's words of promise. The murmurs of the rising day mingled with the pull of the divine calling upon him. He walked toward the altar, the stones still warm from the previous night as sacrifice, a reminder of the covenant made. "Let us seek the Lord's face." He called to his family, beckoning them to join him in solemn prayer. Each one knelt, a posture of humility reflecting their dependence on God. As Noah prayed, his heart lifted with the weight of intercessions for the generations yet to come. "Lord, our hearts are pliable clay in your hands. Mold us and make us what you desire, and grant us wisdom to impart this truth to our sons and their sons, that their hearts may remain steadfast, worshiping you alone." Shem, observing his father's fervor, felt a surge of conviction rise within him. "Father," he said gently, "what if we construct a place of learning, a gathering where our children can understand the ways of the Lord? In this venture, we can create a haven where they may dwell on his word." Noah acknowledged his son's insight with a nod. "Indeed, my son, a legacy built upon God's truth shall weather any storm that arises." With renewed purpose, the family set forth into the burgeoning land to gather stones and timber. They toiled vigorously, the labor drawing them closer, each swing of the tool echoing their commitment to build not just a physical structure, but a spiritual fortress against the encroachments of Isaiah. As they worked, darkness whispered on the edges of the forest, a reawakening of temptation that lurked in the shadows, stalking the hearts of humanity. It was within this very moment that Hem paused, feeling the atmosphere thicken with an uncanny tension. "Father," he cautioned, "do you perceive how the trees sway? They speak of change, an unsettling change. We must remain vigilant. We cannot allow complacency to mold our hearts." Noah responded, "For the serpent does not rest. We will fortify our hearts through prayer and diligent obedience." Days became weeks, and their work continued, yet the heaviness in Noah's spirit deepened, for he foresaw a trial approaching, a testing of their resolve. One evening, as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows, the Lord spoke once more, capturing Noah's full attention. "Noah, heed my call, for I shall send a sign that will herald judgment upon the world. It will be a sign of cleansing and purification, much like the waters that once washed away the earth, but this time it will serve as a warning to the nations. Your labor has not been in vain, for through you will I establish a new covenant." Noah trembled at the gravity of these words. "What shall this sign be, O Lord? Prepare your hearts and the hearts of your sons, for the heavens shall open. My spirit shall move upon the earth, and great will be the outpouring of both mercy and judgment. The land waits in anticipation, and your testimony will be a beacon to those who have strayed." With that, Noah gathered his family close, each face marked with concern yet resolute faith. "We shall be watchmen upon the wall," he proclaimed. "For as God's promises unfold, we stand firm in the truth, preparing for the days to come. Our story shall be recorded for all generations, a reminder that God's hand remains over history. Thus they stood, fortified by the promise revealed, a promise that would not only test their faith, but also serve as a gateway to deeper revelations of his sovereignty. As the winds began to shift, bringing a hint of impending rains, Noah felt in the depths of his soul that the fulcrum of time was nearing, poised to unveil greater mysteries of God's relentless mercy. For even in this moment of uncertainty, the clouds began to gather. It signified change was at hand, invoking questions of the heart, and stirring a sense of divine urgency that would echo through the ages. What would the sign of God's covenant be this time? As the days turned to weeks, the weight of Noah's burden did not lift. Rather, it increased as the skies darkened with the promise of rain. One night, as the household settled into a restless sleep, words echoed in Noah's mind, demanding attention and reverence. The Lord's voice called to him once again, "Noah, rise, for the hour is drawing nigh when I will fulfill my words, and the mountains shall tremble at my decree." With haste, Noah roused his family from slumber, for it was time to heed God's call. "Awaken, the Lord has spoken. We must gather together in prayer and prepare for what he is about to do." Each member of his family felt the urgency in his voice and rushed to obey it as they knelt. The silence of the night was profound, broken only by the rhythmic beating of their hearts. Then, with a spirit trembling yet strong, Noah prayed, "O Lord, guide us and protect us in these coming days. Grant vision to our eyes and clarity to our minds, that we may understand the purpose behind your promise." Shem, with youthful zeal, raised his voice, "Shall we not prepare a vessel, as you have commanded? For surely, you will bring forth a sign of deliverance." Ham's brow furrowed with concern. "But what if the people scoff at our preparations? They may not heed the warning of your impending judgment." With firm resolve, Noah responded, "Let them mock. If our God is with us, who can stand against us? Our duty is not to persuade them but to remain faithful. We have been chosen for a great task, and in this, God's glory shall be revealed." Days passed, and as the first drops of rain began to fall, an unsettling calm spread over the land, accompanied by deeper darkness in the hearts of men. Noah observed the people as they continued in their ways, unaware of the shadow of judgment looming ever closer. Then, one fateful morning, the heavens opened wide, pouring forth torrential rains that soaked the ground and filled the air with the scent of impending change. The family of Noah worked tirelessly, building the great ark in accordance with God's blueprint. Every swing of the hammer and every lashing of the timber declared their faithfulness to God's command as they labored. A sense of divine anticipation filled the atmosphere. God's presence enveloped them, reminding them of his promise. "I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife, and your sons' wives with you." As the rains intensified, voices distantly echoed from the towns and villages as men and women began to notice the gathering storm. The mockery turned to jeers, then to fear, as the waters coursed swiftly through the valleys. Noah stood firm amidst the turmoil, his heart breaking for those who would not escape the judgment. "God has offered mercy," Noah cried out as the winds howled around him, but the cries of the lost mingled with the downpour. "Come to the ark. Flee from your wicked ways and find refuge in his grace." Yet only a handful heeded his pleas, for the hearts of many had grown calloused in their rebellion. In the shadow of the ark, the family huddled together, fortified by the steadfast faith that God was about to reveal. With each moment bearing witness to the calamity unfolding, a deeper realization dawned in Noah's heart. This trial was not merely a punishment but a profound opportunity to demonstrate God's sovereign power and unwavering love. And so, in that pivotal moment, anticipation hung in the air. What would become of those who had rejected the call? As the floodwaters swelled, they stood ready, awaiting the dawn of a new beginning where mercy would triumph, and God's relentless covenant would unfurl its splendor upon the earth. But what lay on the other side of the tempest? What revelation awaited not just Noah and his family, but the generations that would come after them? The flood was both an end and a beginning, and the testament of God's salvation was yet to be fully unveiled. As the heavens poured forth their relentless torrents and the earth trembled beneath the unyielding weight of judgment, Noah stood at the door of the ark, quaking with the heavy knowledge of what was to come. The storm had become a mirror to his soul. It reflected distress and hope entwined in a divine tapestry of God's will. Noah called to his family, "Gather close, for the time is upon us, and soon the door shall be shut." His voice, though filled with authority, bore the tremors of a father's heart burdened with sorrow. Shem, Ham, and Japheth, alongside their wives, huddled together, finding strength in their unity, a steadfastness born out of submission to God's command. The rain continued to strike the land as though the very heavens were unbridled. Thunder echoed like a chorus of condemnation. Noah's heart ached for the many who would not heed the warning sent forth through his voice. Yet, amidst the turmoil, he felt the presence of the Lord, as if whispering reminders of the covenant spoken to him. "Lord, grant me peace," Noah prayed, his heart and spirit laid bare before God. "Let us not falter now." In that moment of supplication, the Lord spoke again to Noah, "Come thou and all thy house into the ark. For thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation." The door of the ark beckoned a sanctuary against the wrath to come, and Noah knew it was a testament of mercy that as they entered the ark, the winds howled like mournful spirits outside, and the door was sealed behind them. Within the wooden vessel, the air was thick with the scent of fresh timber, and it held the weight of divine promise. The family settled themselves among the animals, each one gathered 2 by 2, a remnant of creation sheltered by the hand of God. Then the deluge reached its crescendo. The waters rose above the mountains, swallowing all that had breathed the air of rebellion. Each wave that crashed against the earth screamed of judgment, each droplet a tear shed for a wayward nation. Inside the ark, as the wailing of the world outside grew deafening, Shem turned to Noah, his face illuminated by the glow of faith. "Father, what shall we do now? Will it ever cease?" Noah placed a steady hand on his son's shoulder. "We shall remain steadfast, for even in the tempest, God is with us. His plan will not falter. He shall remember his covenant." Days turned to weeks, and the incessant rain washed away the remnants of a wicked age. But within the ark, the family observed the hand of God at work, even in the silence that followed each storm. "Look, the waters are receding," young Japheth exclaimed one brightening day, as they peered through a window into a world that was changing. Hope sparked like the morning sun breaking through darkness, and Noah felt that God was preparing for renewal as the ark rested upon the mountains of Ararat. The family emerged from their sanctuary. Noah's heart swelled with gratitude as he beheld the rainbow God's eternal sign of promise stretching across the skies. The Lord spoke again, "This is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations." Noah stood in awe. Before him lay not merely a new world but also the unfolding of God's glorious plan of redemption. The flood had washed away the past, but it was the beginning of a legacy that would reverberate through centuries, and through the triumph of the covenant came a deeper mystery. What seed of promise was God nurturing for future generations? What people, what nations, what saviors would arise from this renewed earth? The echoes of divine history resounded, leaving them poised upon the brink of revelation, a promise yet to be fulfilled. And it came to pass after the flood had receded and the land was once more dry, that Noah, the righteous servant of God, looked upon the earth that lay before him. The once familiar landscapes were transformed. The air was crisp, and the silence spoke of a fresh beginning, a kindling of hope forged in the fires of divine judgment. Then the Lord spoke to Noah, saying, "Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife and thy sons wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth." With reverent joy, they obeyed. As Noah stepped out of the ark, the sun broke forth, pouring light upon the earth like a balm to wounds long inflicted. He looked around and saw all that was new: the mountains, the valleys, the streams winding through the earth. The beauty of creation, unmarred by wickedness, struck him with awe. He offered a sacrifice upon the altar he built of clean beasts and fowl, as a fragrant offering pleasing unto the Lord, and the Lord smelled a sweet savor. He rejoiced in the act of worship. I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, he declared, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more every living thing as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seedtime and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. Noah's heart was filled with gratitude. As he wiped away the tears of sorrow from his eyes, he reflected on the magnitude of what had transpired. His family had witnessed both the fury of divine judgment and the loving hand of mercy. Nations would rise and fall, yet within him burned the promise of renewal, a witness of God's enduring faithfulness. The days turned into seasons, and life began anew. Shem and his wife, Ham and his wife, Japheth and his wife walked alongside Noah, multiplying with each passing year, children born under the eyes of God's covenant, flourishing in abundance. The fear of man, as promised, fell upon every beast of the earth and upon the fowl of the air. They were no longer their adversaries. But as the soil bore fruit and the flocks multiplied, a shadow lingered at the edges of their peace. For it was revealed to Noah that his own heart continued to wrestle with the past. He remembered the cries of the lost, the souls who had rejected the call of righteousness. Who shall bear witness to the legacy of redemption? Noah pondered, gazing upon the faces of his sons, their children, and the future unfolding like a tapestry before him. A question arose, echoing the depths of his being. What must we teach them to uphold the sacred covenant? In this holy silence, God whispered to Noah, sealing within him the continuing purpose of vision not yet revealed to mortal eyes. The seed of promise was more than the preservation of life. It was a foreshadowing of the greater salvation that would come to all nations. Thus, the laughter of children and the promise of generations intertwined, as the echoes of God's command and mercy resounded across the lands. But what would unfold as they journeyed deeper into this new world? What great plan lay ahead, hidden in the very fabric of his covenant? The heart of God, filled with loving kindness, kept the mystery close, leaving future generations to seek and find the unfolding narrative of salvation. The covenant of the rainbow shone like a beacon in the sky, a sign of hope, revealing that God had not forgotten his people. What marvels would emerge from the ashes of the past, beckoning them to walk in faith toward the unfolding divine promise. As the seasons turned and the earth flourished, Noah's heart weaved a tapestry of gratitude and reverence. Every sunrise painted the sky with the colors of God's faithfulness. The children of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, grew strong and wise, learning the ways of the Lord as their father diligently instructed them. They tilled the land, raised livestock, and nurtured seedlings into verdant crops, each act a testament to their covenant with the Almighty. Yet amid the abundance, a humble reminder lingered in Noah's heart. The weight of those who perished in rebellion gnawed at his spirit. Unable to let go of his sorrow, he took to the high places, gazing out over the landscape, seeking communion with the one who had spared him and the remnant. What shall I teach my children? He lamented, whispering among the hills. How shall they remember your mercy when the world will test them again? In the stillness of the moment, the voice of the Lord enveloped him. Noah, you are my vessel of promise. The greatest legacy you impart shall be the stories of my deliverance, woven into the fabric of their hearts. For those who believe will carry the weight of my grace forward into generations. Strengthened by God's words, Noah returned to his people, determined to cultivate not just the land, but the spirit of remembrance within his family. He gathered them, and beside the altar, they celebrated their testimony through songs and stories, recounting the miraculous tale of the flood, the ark, and the eternal promise unveiled through the rainbow. The days flowed like the rivers that coursed through the land, and life expanded in joy and kinship. With every feast, every harvest, they invoked the sacred name of the Lord, establishing traditions that would echo through the ages. This was their calling, a mandate to build a community centered around faith and covenant. Amidst the rejoicing, a storm brewed beyond the horizon. The human heart, as foretold, would not remain free of temptation. As the years pressed onward, whispers of discontent and rebellion began to stir among those who wandered afar. The children of Noah's sons caught the winds of pride, seeking to define their own paths apart from the wisdom of their forebear. One fateful evening, a gathering began in the valley. The voices of those who sought to remake the world rang louder, proclaiming their strength and independence, chanting, "We will build a tower that reaches the heavens." They sought to make a name for themselves, to rival the very Creator who had saved Noah and his family from destruction. Sensing the impending calamity that would arise from such pride, Noah gathered his sons. "The hearts of men can turn swiftly from the path of righteousness," he warned. "Be vigilant, teach your children the history of faith. Show them the price of disobedience. Let not our covenant be forgotten." As time unfurled its tapestry, the drawing of the world wove deeper lines of discord. The fervor of rebellion strengthened, and whispers turned to an anthem of defiance. The very earth shook with their ambitions, their desire to remake the heavens reflected through the arrogance of mankind. But even as shadows threatened, there arose among the children of Noah a glimmer of faithful remnant who believed in the stories of the past. This generation looked up to their elders, seeking truth through the lessons of grace. They gathered at the feet of their fathers and mothers, listening intently as they weaved the tales of redemption encountered that dark time before the flood. Learning of Goddess mercy folded into his covenant as the rebellion swelled, Noah prayed fervently, imploring the Lord, "May your hand guide them toward your truth. Lift their hearts towards the hope their ancestors knew, firm in your promises." He understood, even in this storm, that Goddess light would pierce the darkness, and that in the heart of every child lay the opportunity for redemption. "Behold, I am bringing forth a new covenant," declared God one night, speaking to Noah as he sought refuge in prayer. "Your faith shall not waver, and from the seeds of your lineage will come one who will fulfill my promise, a Savior, who will save the world from its own rebellion." With a heart renewed in purpose, Noah rejoiced, believing the whispers of heaven while knowing the path was still fraught with trials. He gathered his family once more beneath the expanse of the heavens, and they pledged in unity to uphold the traditions of their faith. "We shall teach our children," they vowed, "and they shall teach theirs, that in every generation remains the promise of reconciliation through our Lord." Years passed, and tales of the mighty flood collected dust in the hearts of some, yet the faithful companions of Noah continued to stir the embers of faith. The truth of their covenant bore fruit, and it spread like seeds on the wind. It was clear, the legacy of faith would endure beyond the trials, as Noah walked through the lands he cultivated. He felt the gentle whisper of Goddess promise coursing through the air. "Your efforts are not in vain. Trust in me even when the shadows linger." Thus, the story of Noah became a cornerstone not only of his family but of all humankind. Through trials and triumph, faith and rebellion, love and controversy, Goddess' covenant stretched across the ages, illuminating the pathway of redemption for those who would walk the journey of faith. Little did they know, this was but a part of a grander story yet to unfold, a promise that heralded the beginning of hope, echoing in the hearts of billions. As you reflect on the incredible faithfulness of God, showcased in Noah's journey, this is the moment to share this powerful testimony with family and friends. Ensure you're connected to God's Word, subscribe immediately to the channel, and don't miss out on more transformative biblical stories that have the ability to change lives. If this story has touched your heart, leave a like now to help spread Goddess' word through the algorithm. Reduce the noise of the world and amplify His truth. Remember to comment below your spiritual reflections and share how this biblical account has impacted your faith journey. And don't wait even one more second. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. True believers understand the importance of lifting each other up and sharing the messages of faith that illuminate our paths. Let's be vessels of His love together.